pal, unless there's anything else you really want to contribute here, I want to move on to something more lighthearted, more fun. I got to ask you, pal.
Yep.
Do you believe in Joe Hendry?
Oh, of course. Of course. I'm sold on the guy. I did a little homework on him when I was doing my Rise and Fall of TNA video. And man, the guy oozes charisma, bro. It's one of those stories with wrestling. It's like every year we see at least like 2 or 3 wrestlers that just come out of nowhere and just get this momentum out of nowhere and just become like a big deal at the forefront of the community. Last year or 2 years ago now, it was LA Knight. Kind of just took over the world by storm. It seems like Joe Hendry is having an LA Knight-like rise. And once his contract with TNA is up, that guy's going to make a ton of money with WWE.
Yeah, and hearing interviews with Joe Hendry, because I've knuckled down, being like, okay, you know, his act's very over.
Yeah.
Why? What's it about him? Like, what's he done to make this happen? Like, how's this happen, etc. Because that's more what we're here to do, right? We're not just here to go, oh, Joe Hendry's over. We're trying to explain why, talk about what that can mean, etc., etc. And I'm listening to him talk about how he made the song, the stuff that goes into having the audience fully engaged. You know, every wrestler is different. For Roman Reigns, for instance, you want cell phones out, standing, oh my god, I got to record. Just like, take it in, I got to enjoy it. With Joe Hendry's, it's an engagement sort of act. It's an act which, yeah, an entrance like this would be perfect. You know, in the 1950s, 1980s, nowadays, like any era of wrestling, this works. He's got the catchy song, clap your hands, the side to side and say, pal, and you're yelling his name. That sort of thing is perfect. Wrestling is just a crowd engagement performance. Wrestling is the circus. And that's what it always was 100 years ago. So it's perfect to see that. I think what they're doing with him in NXT is great. I love how Shawn Michaels is booking this, pal. HB Shizzle, pal. I love these like 1 minute backstage segments where Shawn Michaels, who's like bald and like old now, he's standing there. And then Joe Hendry is like, you know, shirtless, ripped, doing his full promo about, you know, do you believe? Yeah. I believe. Yeah. See you next week. Joe Hendry, say my name. Like, it's great stuff.
I love it.
It's brilliant. And then the stuff with Trick Williams in that tag match they had against Paige and Dillinger, Ty Dillinger, pal, Sean Spears. And they do that. And yeah, you got, you know, Trick Williams, who's like the face of NXT. He's going to be a massive star in WWE for the next 15 years. Jack, 6'6", as cool as it gets. This is just one of the coolest wrestlers in the world right now, Trick Williams.
Yeah.
He's going to do the, whoop, that, Trick. You know, the crowd's really doing it. And Joe Hendry is like the lost white guy at a frat party. Whoop that. And then, yeah, the backstage segment they do on the WWE YouTube exclusive channel where Trick Williams is like, Joe Hendry. And then like he walks past and Joe Hendry appears and he goes like that. It's just, this is just great entertaining stuff. And my friends who barely watch wrestling are sending me this. They're sending me like daily Joe Hendry stuff. Like I'm sending them Joe Hendry GIFs and reels. They're sending me, pal, I think it's fantastic. You're thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I got a question for you. I'm thinking, pal, as you're talking.
Yeah.
Is NXT back? Is it officially back now? Like NXT kind of peaked like probably 2016, 17. I mean, some people will argue 18, 19 with Adam Cole and Gargano. If that's your era of NXT and you love that era, fine. Yeah. But for me, NXT peaks probably around the Sami Zayn, Nakamura, when those two guys were feuding around that time. And, you know, Joe and Fergie. You know, so what do you think? Do you think we're back to that level, that the black and gold, that golden era of NXT? Do you think it's better? Do you think it could be better? What do you think?
I'm going to give credit to where I get this opinion from, because unlike some podcasts who just steal opinions, don't credit it. I've watched a lot of stuff, pro wrestling bits. Some of you hate the guy, Alfred, because he has like strong opinions. He's pretty anti-AEW and Tony Khan or whatever. But his views on NXT are bang on. How it, like this is, he calls it the black and black era, and it explains how black culture has had such an influence on this version of NXT. It's cool. It's, you can show your friends, whether it's you know, Booker T being twerked on, pal, by Sexy Red, Trick Williams, Mello Hayes, the stuff they've done, how the show gets booked. It's a cool part. You watch the show, and for the most part, yeah, it's like any wrestling show. Wrestlers have matches. You try and get your character over, etc. But it's a cool product on the whole. Like what they do, logical. The main wrestlers, Trick Williams, the stuff with Lash Legend, but Trick Williams generally, the people they push, the way they push them, the women's division, there's like Booker T's commentary, like all this stuff. It's NXT is cool. So when I answer that question, is it back, pal? I mean, it's back in a different way. Like NXT was, you know, had its real, as you say, the peak in 5 years ago, 7 years ago, when they were more catering towards the the IWGP fan, the New Japan fan, the internet wrestling mark, some would say, the people who love the matches and want star ratings and all that crowd. They're really, Triple H was trying to get them on side while WWE was alienating everyone. Triple H trying to get them on side. Now, pal, Shawn Michaels is like, hey, let's just make the coolest show we can. Let's just make wrestling cool. It feels like that's Shawn Michaels' MO. So I'm watching, Trick Williams, Jack, 6'6", cool as it gets. Like I want to hang out with Trick Williams. He seems like such a joke. I want to, have a beer with Joe Hendry, pal. I want to hang out with Mello Hayes, pal. Like wrestlers like that. Like it's a compelling product. It's interesting. I think it's great. So that's my answer to that. Is it back? It's NXT. It's not black and gold. It's black and black, pal. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, you hit it on the head, and I've heard that narrative too on other podcasts and other YouTube channels. NXT is they're appealing to the black culture for sure, and that culture is really dominant right now. Honestly, like black culture in the United States is everywhere, in every form of entertainment. If you want to be cool, you got to kind of get with that. And like seeing Sexy Red, like that, like you said, that's a moment that people were looking like, oh my god, like what? Like Sexy Red is into wrestling? Like okay. Now the partnership with NXT and TNA, that's pretty interesting. I think that could be really fruitful. Honestly, that could be a fruitful partnership. They have a lot of good women wrestlers. I mean, we've seen Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry basically went from nobody to somebody overnight to like casual, like not even casual, just like people that only watch WWE and AEW.
Like everyone,
yeah. So this TNA NXT partnership, I think, is genius. I want to say, and I don't know what the end game is, because there's always an end game with WWE. WWE is not doing this just to help TNA out. There's got to be some kind of end game here, and I'm wondering what that end game is. Like, are we gonna see TNA maybe become like the developmental brand for WWE at some point? Like what? Like it kind of, because like I said, they're not doing it just to help TNA out. So what do you think? Like, what do you think the end game is with that partnership?
They'll probably like own TNA, and like they'll have their it'll just be another cog in the WWE machine. That wrestlers come from TNA, they hone their character, then they get on NXT, and then they're up to the main, like something like that. Yeah, they use it as some sort of like developmentals, some more of like what FCW used to be or what OVW was or something like that. I could picture it. Because what they've done with Joe Hendry is like the main topic we're talking about here. Unbelievable. I think Joe's awesome. He's great. And like he comes off so authentic in interviews. He's just a likable star. He's got a great act. It reminds me more of LA Knight. He's more LA Knight than Elias to me.
Yeah.
Like Elias was in a time where 2018, 2019 WWE, you've got a massive glass ceiling and a dark cloud hanging over most of what you do. And that's just what people have said who work there. So I'm not just making narrative as an outsider pal in the media. But yeah, like the sky's the limit for Joe Hendry, pal. He's got Shawn Michaels booking him at the moment, like who's in touch, who's cool. And like I will say, pal, I mean, you touch on the thing of black culture there. The thing I like most, I mean, like I'm saying, pal, obviously I'm not a person of color, I'm not black, pal, but I'm watching this like with NXT and how they're portraying things and what they're doing. This is not forced at all. This isn't like 2018, 2019 Women's Revolution where it was so forced. This is organic. The wrestlers are likable. I'm interested. I want to see what they're doing. I think it's like, this is the better way of doing it. Like they tried to like almost ignore this stuff. Like, okay, yeah, Trick Williams, whatever. You're a mid-carder, sure. Okay, like, yeah, you're over a bit. Nah, we're going to push this guy instead. That wouldn't work. Like the way they're doing it, it's organic, it's authentic. I think it's great. I think what NXT are doing is fantastic. I want to praise them again. Joe Hendry, Trick Williams, the whole team down there, pal. The whole team. Shawn Michaels, pal. Shout out.
Absolutely.